Michael Oberdick makes very good arguments and very concise viewpoints. And as he makes some that disagree with me, we're gonna go over some of his arguments and address them point by point. But that's gonna happen later. But he has very good videos, and it really makes me sad that he has under 200 subscribers because he deserves a lot more. Are you a progressive? I am a progressive in the sense that I believe in progress, but I am not a progressive in the sense that I am a modern liberal. I am a classical, which means I am a progressive, which means I'm not a modern day progressive, which but, yeah. Mention the fact that the USA brings in a huge amount of drugs into the country via military, and thanks to that military, Afghanistan has the highest opium production on earth. The USA has very interesting arrangements and very interesting agreements with other countries and other people when it comes to its immediate self-interest. It's not even a contest. Eli is smug. Lewis is down somewhere. I don't know. One of the things that interests me is a lot of people say that Eli is an asshole and I'm nice. And the only reason that I disagree with that is because I find myself agreeing with Eli on a lot. I would say that 90% of the time I agree with Eli. 10% of the time I intensely disagree and can argue against him and could probably win. But 90% of the time I agree with Eli the computer. And I do respect him because if it wasn't for Eli, I would have never thought that anything other than cat videos and pirated TV clips and crappy vlogs belong on YouTube. I'll always respect Eli for giving me the idea that my ideas should be on YouTube. A lot of what you're watching right now would be here. Lauren's Southern book is called How Barbarians, How Immigrants, Baby Boomers, and Islam Screwed My Generation. I would agree very hardcore with the baby boomers part. I may not agree with the Islam and immigrants part. And I think the way we deal with immigrants and Islam is very different than the way Europe deals with it. I will read about what's going on in Europe. I'll listen to what's going on in Europe. This idea of, of no-go zones and rape mobs. I mean, anybody who's, and I say this as a conservative. I say this as a conservative I say that if you go to New York, there will never be an Islam no-go zone in New York. There will never be rape mobs in New York. I don't know what Europe is doing. It's different than what we're doing. But, yeah, I would agree on the baby boomers part, but the Islam and immigrants part, Left a follow-up with a link to the Tech Power build for Linux and Windows. I saw it. I actually saw it, and I +1'd it. But +1ing is not enough. You should get credit for it. So Guillermo Amaral made a piece of software that allows Tech Power's multimeter to interface to an open broadcaster in Linux. And anybody who's making Linux even the tiniest bit easier to use is a hero. Because Linux it's almost like it was designed to be difficult and a pain in the ass. So thank you to Daniel and thank you to I want to hear your views on the need for college now versus 50 years ago and the debt that goes along with it. Well, that's a great question, Michael. Well, the first thing that, when you deal with college, you're dealing with the fact that, excuse me, I'd like some oh. College is federally subsidized, to some extent. Not 100%, but colleges receive a lot of money. Oh crap, I did turn on sounds. Oh, shit. I'll find that later. I promise if you donate it, I'll get to your stuff before I fall asleep. If not, please forgive me. I will get to it tomorrow. I didn't set up my open broadcaster thingies properly on my laptop. But when it comes to college is very heavily federally subsidized. Now, anytime you're subsidized by the government, you don't have to care about so much about the value you're offering the user. For example, so with Michael Oberdick, he has an Apple repair shop. If Michael Oberdig told his customer it would be $500 to fix their A1181 screen, their customer would tell Michael, even as polite and kind and evenly symmetrically featured face as he is, surprisingly weird that he hasn't had a date in several years, it's a very symmetrical face, they would have told him to go fuck himself because he's charging $500 for a screen on an A1181. However, if you're federally subsidized by the government, and then you can say, I want to charge $500 for this, but the government is going to pay $400 for it. You could charge the customer $100, and the customer will get a decent deal. It seems like a decent deal because they're not paying for the whole thing, but their taxes are paying for the other $400. The problem with college is that the federal subsidies for college have given them an encouragement to not be lean, to not be competitive, to not be economically viable. And dude, the other problem is that IQ tests in the place of employment have become illegal. IQ may not be the greatest thing in the world, but if one individual has an IQ of 80 and the other has an IQ of 140, I would probably take the person with the IQ of 140, and I would dare to venture that the individual with the IQ of 140 will be more productive than the individual with the IQ of 80. The problem with college is that college became a thing around a similar time that testing people for IQ for employment became illegal. I think this is a terrible thing. You have to go through 4 years of school, and you have to put yourself into $40,000 of debt to get a piece of paper to prove that you're worthy of employment. This is a barrier to entry that is very bad for the poor. And many people who are in favor of programs for the poor, many people who are in favor of helping the poor, refuse to acknowledge the fact that there are very, very small poor people. If somebody is poor, and they have an IQ of 140, and they cannot afford college, and they cannot afford the opportunity cost of college, meaning they cannot afford to not work while they're going to college, then they will miss out on being able to show me that they are an amazingly productive individual. So I would argue that you should be allowed to IQ test potential employees because it allows you to find those diamonds in the rough that do not have the money to spend 4 years of college. But further, even if they had free college, they cannot afford the opportunity cost of giving up a paying job, even if it's a low-paying job, of giving up a low-paying job to go to college. And further, college, in many ways, does not... How do I put this? You can easily get a college degree without necessarily being particularly intelligent. There are some degrees that I should mention in terms of gender studies. Where it doesn't matter if you're intelligent. It just matters if you write the right shit on paper. I failed my college sociology class because I refuse to admit that white male's the cause of the world's problems. Yes, I have a business and I'm employing people and I'm working my fucking ass off all day and I'm paying for my damn college. I refuse to admit that white people like me are the cause of every problem in the fucking society. That means you fail! Ah. Michael says he taught my biz board. Michael Oberdick actually has a very good business, and I know somebody's gonna say that he must be sponsoring you, but no, he doesn't. He's a very level-headed human being, and you should subscribe to his channel because he's a very level-headed human being. Even if he did decide to buy a Hacko FR810, I won't hold it against Michael Oberdick that he bought a Hacko FR810. I actually blame myself because I always praised Hacko. And I'm very sorry. Michael Oberdick, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I didn't know that the FR810 was a piece of shit when we bought it. If I knew that the FR810 was a fucking piece of garbage, that half of them that got shipped were fucking DOA, and Hacko, if you want to sue me on this, I will hire a better lawyer than you, I swear. They're shit, and you fucking know. I didn't know that they sucked. I'm sorry. But yeah, continue. Because of non-existent mental health system, they all think prisons are it, essentially. Lewis, run for Congress. I'm serious. No. I want to change the world for the better. I want to make the world a better place. And the worst place to make the world a better place is Congress. Or, I shouldn't say that's the worst place to make a world a better place is government. Lewis, you're getting tipsy. I started up here. I started up here tonight. Before stream. I got to here when I started stream. And now I'm down here. Let's see if I can finish the bottle. Who am I kidding? That's not going to happen. I didn't eat today. I barely ate lunch. I had breakfast in the afternoon. Oh shit, Ron. Who is Michael? It's okay. You're gonna get some of the 4chan trolls. It's okay. I got them too. You want the people from G and Pol. You want to ignore the people from B, though. The people from B, those are the people who are going to fuck you. The one thing I've always appreciated about 4chan, it's one of the very few places where people are 110% honest because of complete anonymity. You just killed your cat. No, I didn't. She just jumped off my lap because I was drunk. That's fine. The family unit is so important to raising functional, normal people. I concur. Have you seen the documentary, The Red Pill, by Casey J, about men's rights activism? I have not. Just to be clear, I have listened to a lot of Larry Elder over the past 10 years. However, I have not seen that documentary. Don't even get me started on the war on drugs. It feeds itself. If you become a top-level distributor, to find out who else is in the game, you perpetuate the game and speed up the process at which it grows, creating even more opposition to take down that you have to discover. Have you listened to the philosopher Alan Watts or Oliver Stone? I have not. However, again, just to be clear, I've listened to a lot of Larry Elder. I prefer drinking on an empty stomach because then I drink to the level where I want and stop without the unpredictability of drinking on a full stomach. That's a way to save money, I would say. What's your honest opinion on Trump's 100 days? And what are your thoughts on future decisions? Do you think it will be able to defeat globalists? I can't say. Here's why. I remember being involved and genuinely interested in history when I was a kid. And I remember Bush's 100 days. Can anybody here honestly say that the first 100 days of Bush's presidency predicted any of what would happen for the next 7.5 years? If you're fair, and I don't mean this as an ad hominem attack, but if you're fair, you would suggest that Bush's first 100 days had nothing to do with the rest of his presidency. The same, I would say, of Trump. He wasn't my pick. In 2008, I voted for Ron Paul in the primary. In 2012, I voted for Ron Paul in the primary. In 2016, even though Rand Paul was half the man his father was, and I don't mean that as an insult, I just mean it as the truth, I still voted for Rand Paul in the primary because I believe in a nation of people who can count, I believe in peace, I believe in ethics, and I believe in thinking before going to war. I still voted for Rand Paul, but even as somebody who's older, I don't believe that in the first 100 days you can judge someone. And I know that Trump said in the first 100 days I'll do all of that. And frankly, he's a salesman. He's going to say whatever he has to say. It's a constant dick-waving contest for him, and that's just the way his life and business have worked. But I am going to judge him based on what he does over the next 8 years. And I say 8 years because I think the Democratic National Convention is so fucked that regardless of how much Trump fucks up, he's probably still going to win in 2020. It's sad, but that's my prediction. But yeah, I would have much rather seen Ron Paul in the White House because he seems to have a lot of grasp of what's going on, and I don't believe that being peaceful means being a pussy. I just believe it means being sensible.